Commander Ethan Ryder stood at the observation deck of the starship Valiant, staring at the swirling blue and purple gases of the alien planet below. The planet was unlike anything humans had ever encountered. Its surface shimmered with energy fields that sparkled like millions of diamonds under its twin suns. Massive cities floated above the ground, connected by beams of light that pulsed like living veins. "Commander, the scans are complete," said Lieutenant Meera Patel, her voice calm but tinged with awe. "The atmosphere is breathable. Gravity is slightly higher than Earth's, but within human tolerance. Life signs indicate intelligent species. Advanced technology is evident much higher than ours in almost every category." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then we're walking into a world that will test every bit of human ingenuity and diplomacy. Be ready for anything." The mission was clear. First contact with the inhabitants of this distant planet, and, if possible, establish peaceful relations. It had taken years of preparation, countless simulations, and endless debates among Earth's Council of Exploration to decide who would lead this mission. And they had chosen Ethan. He had earned a reputation as a man who combined courage, intelligence, and unwavering morality. He didn't rely on raw power alone. He relied on his judgment, his heart, and his mind. The crew of the Valiant worked in quiet efficiency as the ship entered orbit. Below, the floating cities pulsed with lights, responding to the ship's presence. It was clear. The inhabitants were aware of them. Then, without warning, a bright beam of light shot from the largest city to the ship's deck. The energy was powerful, but controlled. Ethan watched as the beam coalesced into a shimmering figure, a humanoid form, radiant and elegant. "She's coming aboard," Lieutenant Patel whispered. The figure solidified into a woman of striking beauty. Her skin glowed faintly, a soft silver hue, and her eyes shone like polished sapphires. Her hair flowed in silken waves, catching the light of the beam. She wore ceremonial attire that shimmered with energy, and her presence radiated authority, grace, and wisdom. Ethan stepped forward, extending a hand as the ship's airlock opened around her. "I am Princess Leora of Aethera," she said, her voice melodic yet firm. "I welcome your people to my world. Your arrival is anticipated." Ethan bowed slightly, careful to show respect. "Princess Leora, I am Commander Ethan Ryder of Earth. We come in peace and with curiosity, hoping to learn from your civilization and share knowledge in return." The princess inclined her head. "Then, let your first steps on Aethera be guided by respect. Follow me, Commander Ryder." As they moved through the city, Ethan observed everything with keen eyes. The streets floated above the ground, on invisible platforms. Citizens of Aethera moved gracefully, their movements precise, almost as if guided by thought rather than muscle. Small drones hovered near their shoulders, projecting holographic displays, guiding them or monitoring their surroundings. Despite the apparent perfection, Ethan sensed no fear in the citizens. Confidence and trust radiated from them, and they watched the visitors with curiosity, rather than suspicion. "Your people live in harmony with technology," Ethan remarked. "It seems like nothing disrupts the balance of your cities." Princess Leora smiled softly. "Harmony is our way. Technology serves us, not the other way around. But do not mistake balance for weakness, Commander. Strength comes in many forms." They arrived at the central palace, a towering structure of crystal-like materials, pulsating with energy. Inside, the walls reflected light in every direction, creating the illusion of endless space. At the center of the grand hall, a platform glowed with a soft golden light, upon which lay a suit of ceremonial armor. It shimmered with energy, elegant yet imposing. "This," Leora said, her gaze focused on the armor, "is our symbol of honor and trust. Only those who earn our deepest respect may wear it. Ethan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. And you wish me to wear it? Leora's eyes twinkled. I offer it to you as a gesture of friendship and alliance. Our people recognize courage and integrity, Commander Ryder. We wish to honor you. Ethan paused. He understood the gesture. Accepting the armor would mark him as a trusted ally of Aethera, giving him privileges and protection beyond any normal human rights. But something inside him hesitated. To wear the armor without earning it fully would feel dishonest. I am honored by your gesture, Princess, Ethan said carefully. But I must decline. My actions and decisions define my honor, not the garments I wear. If your people respect me, I wish it to be for my deeds, not for the symbol you offer. Leora studied him silently for a moment, her expression unreadable. Then she smiled, a mixture of amusement and admiration. Your people are indeed unique. Very well, Commander. Your pride is noted, and your integrity respected. Despite the calm words, Ethan could feel the weight of the moment. In Aethera, symbols carried immense power. Refusing the armor could have been seen as an insult. Yet Leora accepted it. That simple gesture revealed her wisdom and perhaps the beginning of a deep respect between them. As they toured the palace, Ethan was introduced to the advisors and guardians of Aethera. These beings were tall and elegant, their features sharp yet refined. They moved with precision, carrying devices that hummed with energy. Ethan observed them carefully, noting their coordination and discipline. He realized quickly that this world valued order, strategy, and intelligence above brute force. Commander Ryder, Leora said, breaking his thoughts. You will witness our training grounds shortly. It is customary for our guests to observe our warriors' skills. They entered a vast arena, where alien warriors practiced combat drills with weapons that seemed to bend light itself. Each movement was precise, efficient, and deadly in appearance, though no one was being harmed. Ethan recognized patterns similar to human martial arts, but enhanced by technology. These warriors are skilled, Ethan murmured. But I noticed something else. Coordination. Trust. They fight together as one unit, almost as if they think in harmony. Leora nodded. Yes. Our strength lies not only in technology or skill, but in unity. Alone, even a great warrior is vulnerable. Together, we are formidable. Ethan's mind raced with strategy, already calculating how human tactics could complement this precision. He understood that winning respect here would require not only courage, but also cleverness, adaptability, and insight. As the demonstration ended, Leora approached him again. Commander, our world faces a challenge. A faction within Aethera seeks to disrupt peace and seize power. They oppose unity and harmony. I have kept them in check, but their ambition grows. Ethan considered the question carefully. Accepting could embroil humans in a conflict far from Earth, but his moral compass left no room for hesitation. Princess, I will help, but not as a conqueror or a guest. I will help as a partner, an ally who respects your people and your way of life. I cannot promise invincibility, but I can promise honesty, strategy, and courage. Leora studied him, then extended a hand. Then you have my trust, Commander Ryder. And perhaps, one day, our people will understand the strength that humans carry. Ethan shook her hand firmly, sensing the gravity of what had just begun. He had entered a world of wonders, beauty, and danger, and already he felt the pulse of a challenge that would test every fiber of his being. But deep inside, he knew one truth. No alien power, no matter how advanced, could replace the human qualities he valued most: courage, honor, and pride. As the day ended, Ethan returned to the observation deck, looking down at the glowing cities of Aethera. The twin suns were setting, casting streaks of violet and gold across the skies. The world seemed serene, almost peaceful, but he knew the calm was fragile. Somewhere, hidden among the loyal citizens, forces were gathering, waiting to disrupt the harmony he had witnessed. Yet, in that moment, he felt a strange sense of confidence. Not because of weapons or technology, but because he had already made a choice. He would walk this world with his pride intact, relying on his own mind and heart. The ceremonial armor still rested in the palace, untouched, a symbol of respect he did not need to wear. And that, Ethan thought, was a human strength that even the most advanced alien civilization could not take away. The stars above Aethera twinkled like distant promises. The adventure had just begun, and Commander Ryder was ready to meet it head-on, armed not with alien armor, but with courage, strategy, and an unyielding spirit. Commander Ethan Ryder had spent the first night aboard the Etherian palace, absorbing the strange beauty of the alien world. Its floating cities, glowing energy fields, and serene citizens were mesmerizing, yet he could feel a subtle tension in the air. Something was brewing beneath the calm surface, something that even Princess Leora's serene smile could not entirely conceal. The next morning, Ethan stood in the palace courtyard, watching alien warriors practice their drills. Their movements were precise and synchronized, as though their bodies and minds were connected by a single thread of thought. It reminded him of advanced human military drills, but faster, more controlled, and completely flawless. Yet, despite their skill, he noted one critical difference. Humans relied not only on training, but on improvisation, intuition, and unpredictability. That would be their advantage if a real challenge came. Princess Leora appeared beside him, her steps quiet yet purposeful. She wore a ceremonial robe of white and gold, her silver hair catching the sunlight as it flowed behind her. "Commander Ryder," she began, her voice calm but with an undercurrent of urgency. "The threat I spoke of yesterday is real. A faction among my people, driven by ambition and envy, seeks to seize power. They call themselves the Shadow Circle. They believe the unity and harmony of Aethera weaken us, and they intend to challenge it." Ethan turned to her, studying her expression. Leora shook her head. "They are dangerous. They possess advanced weapons, some even forbidden by our laws. Their warriors are highly trained and willing to use force to achieve their goals. I have contained them so far, but I cannot underestimate them. That is why your presence is significant." Ethan nodded slowly. "Then, we need to understand them fully. What are their goals, and how do they plan to achieve them?" Leora gestured for him to follow her. They moved through the palace corridors, eventually reaching a holographic map of the city. Small, pulsating points represented every district, every citizen, and every patrol. She touched several points, and images of shadowy figures appeared. "They are subtle," Leora explained. "They work in secret, gaining followers, spreading discontent, and preparing for the day they can strike openly. If we respond with raw force, it may cause panic among the citizens. Strategy, careful planning, and intelligence are required." Ethan studied the images, analyzing the patterns. "Then we fight smart, not with strength alone, but with knowledge, precision, and timing. And perhaps, we teach your people something new in the process. Human strategy relies on thinking ahead, predicting behavior, and adapting to changes. That could be the edge we need." Leora's eyes glimmered with a mixture of curiosity and respect. "Your confidence is unusual, Commander. Many humans underestimate the complexity of Aethera, yet you see it clearly. I believe your methods may indeed succeed where conventional approaches might fail." They spent hours examining the Shadow Circle's movements and weak points. Ethan's analytical mind raced, drawing plans and contingencies. Every action he proposed focused on minimizing harm to the innocent citizens while confronting the rogue faction decisively. He emphasized strategy, deception, and clever traps rather than relying on brute force. At the end of the briefing, Leora's tone shifted, softer now but still earnest. Commander, I must ask again, our ceremonial armor. It is customary for those who face our warriors or lead forces in defense of Aethera to wear it. It symbolizes honor, protection, and the unity of our people. Will you reconsider? Load. Ethan looked at the armor displayed in the palace again, its surface shimmering with energy, its edges glowing faintly like liquid metal. It was tempting. Yes, not only for protection, but for the authority it symbolized. Yet, the decision had already been made. Princess, he said firmly, I respect your tradition, and I honor your offer. But my choice stands. I will face the challenge without your armor. My pride, my integrity, and my strength do not come from symbols. They come from my actions, my choices, and my commitment to protect and lead. If your people see me as a leader, I want it to be for those reasons, not because I wore a garment. Leora studied him for a long moment, her expression thoughtful. Then, with a nod, she smiled. Very well, Commander. Your pride is noted, and your decision respected. I admire your courage in making such a choice. That evening, as twilight bathed the floating city in purple and gold, Ethan walked the palace gardens. Leora accompanied him, the calm of the moment contrasting sharply with the storm that was building within the city. Commander, Leora said, her voice gentle. Do you truly believe humans can stand against threats of this magnitude without technology or armor that surpasses anything you possess? Ethan thought for a moment, gazing at the glowing streams of water that floated in midair, flowing from one crystalline fountain to another. I do, he said finally. Humans have survived in impossible situations. We rely on intelligence, adaptability, and courage. Technology is useful, but it cannot replace ingenuity. And armor is only as strong as the person inside it. I believe we will succeed if we trust in each other and in ourselves. Leora nodded slowly. Then perhaps your people are wiser than I first imagined. Your confidence is inspiring. I see now why the Council of Exploration chose you. The next day, Ethan began working with Aetherian intelligence officers. They analyzed patterns of the Shadow Circle's activity, looking for weaknesses. Ethan suggested tactics that were unusual for the Aetherians: diversionary maneuvers, feints, and controlled risks that leveraged unpredictability. The alien officers listened with growing admiration, adjusting their own strategies to incorporate his ideas. As they worked, Ethan also trained alongside a group of loyal Aetherian warriors. Though they were faster, stronger, and more disciplined than humans, he found ways to complement their abilities. Using his knowledge of strategy and human improvisation, he demonstrated how smaller, coordinated teams could disrupt a much larger force. You are remarkable, said one young warrior, her energy staff glowing softly. Ethan smiled. Thank you. But your strength is just as remarkable. Together, we can do more than either of us alone. Despite the growing camaraderie, Ethan remained vigilant. He knew the Shadow Circle would act quickly, and hesitation could cost lives. One evening, as he reviewed the city's security scans, he noticed a pattern, a series of anomalies in the lower districts, areas rarely used by outsiders. The points blinked irregularly, signaling movement and potential assembly of hostile forces. He alerted Leora immediately. Princess, the Shadow Circle is mobilizing. They're preparing to strike soon. We need to act before they cause widespread panic. Leora's expression hardened. Then, we have little time. Will you lead the defense personally, Commander? Ethan considered her question carefully. Leading the defense without the ceremonial armor would be risky, but that risk was central to his principles. "Yes," he said finally. "I will lead, alongside your loyal warriors, but we must act smart. We cannot rely on force alone." Plans were quickly finalized. Loyal Etherian warriors and human soldiers would patrol critical points. Diversion teams would draw the rogue forces into controlled areas. Ethan personally supervised the placement of traps and ambushes, ensuring maximum efficiency and minimal risk to innocent citizens. As night fell, Ethan and Leora stood together on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. The lights reflected in their eyes, a mixture of anticipation and concern. "Commander," Leora said softly, "I sense you carry not only courage but something more. A human quality I cannot fully describe. It is not strength, nor speed, nor technology. Yet it is powerful. Perhaps it is what gives humans the ability to endure and overcome challenges that would defeat even the most advanced species." Ethan smiled faintly. "We call it hope, and sometimes pride. The belief that even when everything seems impossible, one can act with honor and make a difference. I suppose it shows differently to other worlds." Leora nodded, a faint smile on her lips. "Then I am grateful that hope and pride stand with us. May they guide our actions in the coming hours." In the quiet before dawn, Ethan went over every detail of the plan. He knew the Shadow Circle would strike soon. They would not be merciful, and failure was not an option. Yet he felt ready. Not because of alien armor or superior technology, but because of human determination, intelligence, and courage. The city slept, unaware of the storm that would soon sweep through its streets. But Commander Ethan Ryder was awake, vigilant, and prepared. He would face the challenge head-on, relying on nothing but his mind, his instincts, and his unyielding principles. And when the moment came, he would stand tall, pride intact, ready to protect a world that had already earned his respect. The first rays of Aethira's twin suns began to rise, casting long shadows across the floating city. For Commander Ryder, this was the calm before the storm. But he knew that even in the chaos to come, humans had a strength no weapon or armor could ever provide. The city of Aethira awoke to an unusual stillness. Normally, its streets hummed with the soft energy of daily life. Citizens floating gracefully on light platforms, drones buzzing silently, and fountains of glowing water streaming from one crystalline structure to another. But now, an invisible tension filled the air. Commander Ethan Ryder knew it well, the calm before the storm. In the command room of the palace, he and Princess Leora stood over the holographic map. Points of light flickered, representing the loyal citizens and the Shadow Circle's hidden units. Ethan's eyes scanned the map carefully. Every movement, every possible path, and every weak point was analyzed in seconds. "They are moving faster than we anticipated," said one Aetherian officer, concern in her voice. "Commander Ryder, their forces are larger than we expected. If we engage them directly..." Ethan raised his hand, stopping her. "Direct engagement is exactly what we won't do. Force alone will not win this battle. We rely on strategy, traps, and timing. Patience is our ally." Leora looked at him, her blue eyes intense. "Commander, you truly believe humans can stand against them without the ceremonial armor? You have no enhanced protection, no shields. Are you certain of this approach?" Ethan met her gaze steadily. "I am certain. Armor can protect the body, but it cannot protect the mind or the spirit. My strength, and the strength of those I lead, comes from strategy, courage, and teamwork. That will carry us through." The Shadow Circle struck at dawn. Small groups appeared in the lower districts, their movements swift, coordinated, and silent. They carried weapons that glowed faintly, capable of cutting through almost any material. But Ethan had anticipated this. Loyal Aetherian squads were ready, stationed in ambush positions, waiting for the rogues to enter the traps he had set. The first group of Shadow Circle operatives entered an alleyway, expecting an empty path. Instead, holographic decoys and energy nets immobilized them. Panic flashed in their eyes as loyal warriors moved silently, disarming them. Ethan observed every move, making small adjustments through his communicator, guiding his allies in real time. "This is only the beginning," Ethan said, voice calm but sharp. "Keep them moving into the central areas. We control the battlefield, not them." By mid-morning, the Shadow Circle had realized that they were being led into a trap. Their larger forces advanced, attempting to overwhelm the Loyalists. But Ethan had anticipated this too. Narrow streets, controlled collapses of floating platforms, and clever diversions funneled the enemy into zones where their numbers were a disadvantage. Despite their superior technology and strength, the Shadow Circle's arrogance worked against them. Ethan's human strategies were unpredictable to the aliens. His improvisation, his use of the environment, and his understanding of enemy psychology gave his side an edge. At the central plaza, Ethan confronted the leader of the Shadow Circle, a tall, imposing figure whose energy armor shimmered ominously. The man's eyes were cold, filled with ambition and pride. "You are a human," the leader sneered. "You dare to challenge us without the power we possess?" Ethan stood tall, unarmored, his uniform simple and unadorned. "I challenge you with my mind, my courage, and my principles. That is more than enough." The leader attacked, swinging a weapon that bent light into sharp, deadly blades. Ethan dodged quickly, using agility and timing rather than strength. Every move he made anticipated the enemy's strikes, and with each step, he turned the battlefield to his advantage. He was not alone. Loyal Aetherian warriors flanked him, but they followed his lead rather than commanding him. Together, they moved like a single organism, combining speed, precision, and strategy. Despite the chaos, Ethan maintained calm. He could see opportunities others would miss. A misstep in the Shadow Circle's formation, a weakness in their coordination, a hesitation in the leader's attack, all were noted and exploited. Hours passed. The battle raged through the floating streets and shimmering alleys. Citizens watched from a distance, unable to intervene but inspired by the courage of the defenders. Slowly, the Shadow Circle's advantage diminished. Their energy weapons, though powerful, were ineffective against the traps and strategies laid out by Ethan and the Loyalists. Finally, the leader of the Shadow Circle found himself isolated in the central plaza. Ethan stepped forward, calm and steady. "It ends here," he said simply. The leader swung one final time, but Ethan dodged, redirecting the attack with a precise maneuver. Using a combination of human ingenuity and coordinated Aetherian tactics, they disarmed him. The remaining rogue forces, seeing their leader defeated, surrendered. The plaza fell silent. The battle was over. Princess Leora approached Ethan, her expression a mixture of relief, admiration, and awe. "Commander Ryder," she said softly, "you have done what many believed impossible. You faced our greatest threat without relying on our most advanced tools. You have shown the strength of your people in a way I have never seen before." Ethan shook his head humbly. "It was not just me. The Aetherian warriors fought bravely, and together, we made the right choices. I simply guided our actions. Courage and unity are more powerful than any weapon or armor." Leora smiled. "Your words and deeds have earned the respect of my people, and perhaps they have taught us a lesson we will not forget. There is strength in restraint, in intelligence, and in integrity." As citizens slowly returned to the streets, Ethan observed them. The people of Aethera moved with a newfound confidence, their admiration for humans evident. Some approached him cautiously, offering gestures of respect, while others simply watched, inspired by the display of courage and strategy. In the quiet that followed, Leora guided Ethan to the ceremonial armor once again. Its shimmering surface reflected the rising sun, a symbol of honor that had not been worn. "You may take it now," she said softly. "It is yours, as a reward for your actions." Ethan looked at the armor, then back at the princess. He could feel the weight of its significance, the trust it represented, and the honor it symbolized. Yet he shook his head slowly. "No, princess," he said firmly but gently. "The armor is powerful, yes, but my strength is not in what I wear. It is in what I choose, in the actions I take, and in the courage I carry. My pride remains intact because I relied on those qualities, not a garment. I will leave the armor with you, a symbol of your people, not mine." Leora studied him, eyes shining with admiration. "Then your pride is indeed as strong as your courage, Commander Ryder. You have proven that true strength is not measured by tools, weapons, or protection, but by the heart and mind of the one who wields them." Ethan nodded, feeling a quiet satisfaction. The battle was over, and Aethera was safe for now. But more importantly, he had shown that humans, even without alien technology or ceremonial power, could stand as equals among the stars. That evening, as he walked through the palace gardens with Leora, the twin suns of Aethera dipped below the horizon, casting the floating city in a warm, golden glow. "You have done more than protect us," Leora said, quietly. "You have inspired hope. Your actions remind us that courage and integrity are not bound to a species or a world, they are universal." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then perhaps hope is universal as well. And maybe pride, when guided by honor, can stand anywhere, even among the stars." As they watched the glowing lights of the city, Ethan knew that this victory was only the beginning. Challenges would come again, new threats would rise, and decisions would need to be made. But he was ready. Not because of alien armor, not because of advanced weapons, but because he had proven that humans, when guided by courage, intelligence, and honor, could meet any challenge head-on. And with that knowledge, he walked tall through the glowing streets, his pride intact, his mind sharp, and his heart steady, ready for whatever the future might hold. The city of Aethera was alive with a different kind of energy now. The battle was over, and the streets, once tense and cautious, buzzed with relief and admiration. Citizens moved confidently, offering smiles and quiet nods to the human visitors who had fought alongside their loyal warriors. Commander Ethan Ryder walked among them, observing carefully, noting how the people seemed inspired by the courage and strategy displayed during the conflict. Princess Leora stood beside him as they toured the central plaza. She wore her ceremonial robes, though her demeanor was less formal now, softened by pride and gratitude. "Commander Ryder," she said, "your actions have changed the way my people see your world. They respect humans in a way I have not seen before. You led without claiming authority, fought without relying on our technology, and guided us to victory with intellect and courage. That is remarkable." Ethan nodded, modest but quietly satisfied. "It was not only my effort, Princess. Your warriors' skill and loyalty made this possible. Humans can inspire, but we cannot do everything alone. Cooperation was key." They reached the palace steps, where a gathering of citizens, advisors, and loyal warriors waited. Leora raised her hand, and the crowd fell silent. She turned to Ethan, her eyes shining with respect. "Commander Ryder," she began, her voice clear and commanding, "you have faced our greatest threat without taking the ceremonial armor that symbolizes power and trust. You have relied on courage, strategy, and integrity. For this, you have earned not only our gratitude, but also our admiration. Today, you have shown that strength comes not from what is worn, but from what is chosen and what is done." The crowd erupted into cheers and applause, their voices carrying through the city like a wave of celebration. Ethan felt a warm pride rise within him. Not from the recognition, but from the understanding that his actions had inspired others to believe in courage, honor, and the human spirit. After the applause settled, Leora approached the ceremonial armor, which still rested on its pedestal in the palace courtyard. "Commander," she said, "the armor is yours, if you wish to accept it. It is a symbol of respect, authority, and loyalty. In our traditions, no one has refused it after such an achievement. Will you wear it?" Ethan looked at the armor, its smooth surface reflecting the light of Aethira's twin suns. He could see the power it represented, the protection it offered, and the trust it carried. But he also knew that accepting it would alter the meaning of his victory. The strength he relied on had been his own, guided by judgment and courage, not the symbol of the alien world. He shook his head slowly. "Princess Leora, I am deeply honored by your offer, but my choice remains the same. The armor is a symbol, and I do not need it to prove my strength or my honor. My actions, my decisions, and my commitment are enough. My pride is intact, and that is all I need." Leora studied him for a long moment, a mixture of surprise, admiration, and understanding on her face. "Then your pride is as true as your courage, Commander. You have demonstrated that leadership and strength are not bound to symbols, but to the one who leads. That is a lesson we will remember." Ethan nodded quietly, feeling a sense of fulfillment. He had faced a new world, fought alongside alien warriors, and emerged victorious without surrendering his principles. That, he realized, was the essence of honor, the ability to act with courage and integrity, even when easier paths were available. The citizens approached cautiously, some offering words of thanks, others simply observing. Aetherian children, wide-eyed and curious, lingered near Ethan, fascinated by the human who had stood among their heroes without any enhancements. One small girl, holding a glowing toy orb, stepped forward and asked, "Will you teach us? Human, can we be brave like you?" Ethan knelt to her level, smiling gently. "Bravery isn't about being the strongest or having the best tools. It's about doing what is right, even when it's difficult, and standing by your friends and your people. Anyone can be brave, if they choose to act with courage and honesty." The girl's eyes lit up with understanding, and she ran back to her friends, eager to share what she had learned. Ethan stood, watching the next generation absorb a lesson that transcended worlds. As the day continued, Ethan met with the advisors and leaders of Aethira. They asked questions, shared stories of the battle, and sought his perspective on strategy and leadership. He spoke openly, offering insights while respecting the traditions and values of the alien civilization. His calm, thoughtful approach earned further respect. Later, in the palace council chamber, Leora spoke privately with Ethan. "Commander, I have been thinking," she said, "about what you have shown us. You faced danger without relying on our advantages. You respected our people and their ways, yet did not compromise your own principles. That is a rare quality, even among my kind." Ethan met her gaze steadily. "It is what humans value, Princess. We believe that integrity, courage, and intelligence define a person. Symbols and tools can help, but they do not create strength. That must come from within." Leora smiled softly. "And yet, Commander, it is not weakness to accept help or protection when offered. Sometimes wisdom lies in knowing what to take and what to leave. You have balanced this perfectly. Perhaps that is why your people survive and thrive, even in harsh circumstances." Ethan nodded. "We learn from experience, Princess, and sometimes from our own failures. But when we act with honesty and courage, we can face any challenge." That evening, the palace held a celebration in honor of the victory. Music and lights filled the floating city, though Ethan noticed the festivities were less about joy and more about respect and reflection. Citizens approached, offering gratitude, curiosity, and admiration. Warriors exchanged nods, acknowledging the human who had guided them with both intelligence and bravery. Leora approached Ethan one last time during the celebration. She gestured to the ceremonial armor. "Commander Ryder, I will leave the armor here, as a symbol of your achievement. You do not wear it, but it will remain as a reminder of what was accomplished today. Perhaps one day, others will understand the significance of standing tall without taking what is offered." Ethan looked at the armor, then back at the princess. "That is all it needs to be, princess. A reminder not of me, but of what can be achieved with courage, strategy, and integrity." Leora's eyes glimmered with admiration. "Then your story will be remembered, not only by my people, but perhaps by future visitors to Aethera as well. You have shown that true strength is universal, and that honor can cross any boundary, even between worlds." As the celebration continued, Ethan walked among the citizens, observing quietly. He noticed the pride in their eyes, the respect for what had been achieved, and the inspiration that now flowed through the city. For the first time, he felt that humans and Aetherians were not just allies, they were equals, united by courage, intelligence, and a shared respect for integrity. In a quiet moment, he returned to the palace balcony. The twin suns of Aethera were setting, casting long shadows over the floating city. Ethan gazed at the horizon, reflecting on the events of the past day. He had faced danger, guided warriors, and helped defend a world without relying on the advantages offered to him. His pride remained intact, his principles unshaken, and his heart steady. He realized then that recognition and respect were not given, they were earned. And today, he had earned both, not through symbols or power, but through courage, strategy, and unwavering integrity. As the lights of the city glowed in the twilight, Ethan felt a quiet confidence. The challenges of Aethera were far from over, but he knew that humans, when guided by principle and courage, could stand tall anywhere, even among the stars. And so, the city slept peacefully for the first time in many days, with Commander Ethan Ryder watching over it, a symbol of human strength, honor, and pride even without a suit of ceremonial armor. The morning sun rose over the floating city of Aethera, painting the crystal towers and glowing platforms in shades of gold and violet. The city had recovered from the Shadow Circle's threat, and life moved with renewed confidence and energy. Commander Ethan Ryder stood on the palace balcony, looking over the streets below. Citizens moved gracefully, their faces calm and hopeful. He could feel the weight of what had been accomplished, not in weapons or armor, but in courage, strategy, and honor. Princess Leora approached him quietly, her ceremonial robes flowing with the light morning breeze. "Commander Ryder," she said softly, "tomorrow, your people will return to your world. Before you leave, I want to thank you personally for all that you have done. You have saved Aethera, but more importantly, you have inspired my people. Your example will not be forgotten." Ethan nodded, meeting her gaze. "It has been an honor, Princess. I have learned much from your people as well. Aethera is a remarkable world, and your citizens are as skilled and courageous as any I have ever seen." Leora gestured toward the ceremonial armor, still resting on its pedestal in the palace courtyard. Its surface gleamed in the sunlight, a symbol of power, trust, and honor. "Before you go, I offer you the armor once again. It is customary to honor those who defend Aethera by allowing them to wear it. Will you accept it this time?" Ethan looked at the armor thoughtfully. It was tempting, protection, prestige, a lasting symbol of respect. Yet, he felt the same certainty as before. He had fought, guided, and led without it. Accepting it now would diminish the personal choice and courage that had defined his actions. "No, Princess," he said firmly but kindly. "The armor is powerful, and it represents the respect of your people. But my pride, honor, and courage do not come from what I wear. They come from my actions and decisions. I will leave the armor with you, not as a gift to me, but as a symbol of what we have achieved together." Leora studied him for a long moment, her eyes reflecting admiration and understanding. "Then your pride is truly intact, Commander Ryder. You have proven that strength, honor, and courage are not defined by symbols, but by the heart and mind of the one who acts." As the day passed, citizens, warriors, and leaders came to bid farewell. Children waved from the streets, inspired by the human who had walked among them without any alien enhancements, yet had guided their city to safety. Warriors bowed respectfully, acknowledging his leadership and courage. Even the advisors and scholars offered words of gratitude, impressed by his wisdom and composure. Ethan moved among them quietly, shaking hands, exchanging nods, and offering words of encouragement. He spoke not of his own courage, but of the power of choice, integrity, and teamwork. He emphasized that victory was not about power or armor, but about understanding, planning, and acting with honor. Princess Leora joined him once more on the balcony as the sun began to set. "Commander, I have one last request," she said. "Before you leave, will you share a message with my people? Something they can carry with them, even after your departure?" Ethan thought for a moment, watching the glowing city below. "Tell them this," he said finally. "Strength is not measured by power, armor, or weapons. True strength comes from courage, integrity, and the choices we make. Stand together, respect each other, and act with honor. That is what allows any people to endure, grow, and thrive even when faced with impossible challenges." Leora nodded, her expression solemn yet proud. "Your words will be remembered, Commander. And so will you." The preparations for departure were quietly underway. The human crew of the Valiant moved through the palace, loading supplies and performing final checks on their ship. Ethan watched them, feeling a sense of calm satisfaction. The battle was over. The city was safe, and he had proven that humans could stand tall, even in a world far beyond their own. Before leaving, Ethan walked one last time through the palace gardens. The streams of floating water glowed softly, flowers of impossible colors swayed in the gentle breeze, and the citizens moved among the platforms, returning to normal life. He paused at a fountain, touching the cool water and reflecting on the journey that had brought him here. It had not been an easy path. Challenges had come from an unexpected enemy, but also from within a constant test of choices, principles, and courage. Yet, in every decision, he had remained true to himself. That was the greatest victory of all. Princess Leora approached quietly, standing beside him. "Commander Ryder," she said, "when your people return to your world, remember this. The choices you make define you, not the power you hold. You have shown my people the strength of your kind, and that will resonate for generations." Ethan smiled. "Thank you, Princess. I will remember, and I will carry the lessons of Aethira with me. And perhaps one day, our worlds will meet again, not as strangers, but as equals who respect and learn from each other." Finally, it was time to depart. Ethan and his crew boarded the Valiant, taking one last look at the city that had welcomed them, challenged them, and now respected them. The ceremonial armor gleamed faintly in the palace courtyard, untouched, a silent reminder of the respect they had earned without taking it. As the ship lifted off, Ethan gazed out at the floating city, the twin suns casting long shadows across the glowing platforms. He felt a quiet pride, not arrogance, not boastfulness, but a deep understanding that courage, strategy, and integrity were universal qualities that could shine even in the most unfamiliar worlds. Princess Leora stood at the palace balcony, watching the humans depart. She raised a hand in a gesture of farewell, and Ethan returned the gesture from the ship's observation deck. In that moment, no words were needed. Both understood the respect and admiration that had formed between them, a bond that transcended worlds. The stars stretched endlessly beyond the planet, and Ethan felt a renewed sense of purpose. Humanity had shown itself capable of standing tall, facing unknown worlds, and acting with honor without relying on external advantages. Pride, courage, and integrity had carried them here, and they would carry them into the future. As the Valiant jumped into faster-than-light travel, leaving Aethera behind, Ethan reflected on the journey. Battles would come again, challenges would rise, and choices would need to be made. But the lesson was clear. Strength was not given, it was earned. And when earned, it remained. Unshakable, intact, and true. The ceremonial armor remained in the palace, a shining symbol for Aethera's citizens. Yet the true symbol had already left the human who had walked among them without needing it, proud and unyielding, showing that courage and honor could define a person more than any external protection ever could. Ethan Ryder leaned back in the ship's observation deck, watching the stars blur past as they traveled home. He thought of Princess Leora, the citizens, and the loyal warriors who had fought beside him, and he felt a quiet certainty. Humanity had a place among the stars, not because of technology or power, but because of its spirit, intelligent, courageous, and proud. And that spirit would endure, far beyond the reach of any armor, weapon, or symbol. With a steady heart and pride intact, Ethan Ryder prepared for the journey ahead, knowing that humans, when guided by courage, honor, and wisdom, could stand tall even among the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy.